So before we get on with the latest news about the e-bike consultation, the government e-bike consultation, just want to point out how right I was about the M20 a couple of weeks ago when I sort of forecast. The only thing I got wrong was the display, but everything else was bang on. And it's the way I'd have gone. It's what the M20 should have been out of the box, but I was close enough. Anyway, let's get on with it. So if you're wondering what that sound is, that's the sound of crickets. So that's how far any news on the government e-bike consultation's gone so far, which doesn't really surprise me. But what does surprise me is their friends are opening franchises, or the Conservative government, or whatever government is in power now, they're opening franchises for public e-bike rental all over the place, and scooter rental. Scooters are illegal unless you rent one from one of their friends. And oddly, they can have a throttle that goes up to 12.5 mile an hour. We get called cheating when we use a throttle, but scooter riders, not so much. And this isn't a go at scooter riders. This is a go at the government itself, what they do to us and how we have to deal with it ourselves by sort of like being frustrated by the fact that we can't have a throttle that goes at 15.5 mile an hour, sticks in my craw. And now we've got a new government in place. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. It's annoying. It's a barrier to entry for a lot of disabled people that could possibly use an e-bike. And they can't because they can't use one with a throttle that goes up to 15.5 mile an hour. I'd have thought this would have been sort of paramount on the list of things to sort out, but obviously not. So if you haven't seen my latest video, the completely EU and UK legal video for the Engway P275 Pro, yeah, it's a monster of a machine, but it isn't what ideally I'd like a throttle on it, and amongst other things. If you watch the video, you'll see what I mean. It's a brilliant bike, but it has a couple of flaws. But I'd like a throttle on it. I could legally ride round, and I can get away with enjoying using a bike with no throttle, thanks to this bike, with a massive range, because technically you're doing most of the work. But I'd like to be able to go out on my Engine Pro 2 and not worry about the police pulling me over because my throttle's activated. I can't move that thing without a throttle. You just can't. And even up to 4 mile an hour, I don't think that's enough. And if we were able to have a throttle that went up to 12 mile an hour, like illegal scooters, and I'll repeat that, illegal scooters that you can rent, well, I'm not trying to compare with what I say to, people when they say, oh, well, e-bikes are cheating. It's the same thing. It's not cheating. It's about getting from A to B. Nobody's in a race. And that winds me up. I don't see anything in the future coming along by the present government in situ because, of course, they're blaming the previous government for everything that's gone wrong, and they've got to sort it all out, and they've got to borrow money for this, that and the other, and they'll put taxes up. And at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything about this. I've now got one Conservative MP that was sort of looking into it for me, who's no longer got his seat. And now I've got a Labour guy that I've had a video chat with, and as he said, it's going to be a while. There's other things high on the agenda, but I think this is high on the agenda. The only reason I can see this being slowed down is because they're all trying to work out how to monetize it. They all know we'll stop using our cars as much. They all know when that happens, they end up getting the revenue from fossil fuels. So how are they going to have us? Well, it's highly likely they'll either put a tariff on the bikes they'll have us over for electricity costs because they put the price for electricity up. And that's coming, whether we like it or not. As soon as we sort of get rid of most of the fossil fuels that we're using, the price of electricity is going to go up. And you've only got to look at our nuclear power situation. We've got France building our next nuclear reactor. And they've been promised X amount of revenue from that per unit. And we're going to be paying for that for decades, well, generations, when we could simply pay somebody to build it for us. The Chinese are building them all over the place. I watched a documentary the other day about sort of reactors, and it was actually an Oliver Stone documentary. I actually paid to watch it. About where everybody around the world's building reactors, except for like the UK and the US, because they've been scared off by the fossil fuel companies. Oh, you'll get radiation poisoning from this, you'll die from this. It's the safest by a long way. People that die from the consequences of fossil fuels are through the roof. So, like I said, they need to monetize what we're going to be doing with these e-bikes, because, like I said, I use my car 80% less of the time than I used to use it. And when I'm doing less than sort of 18 to 20 to the gallon, it's about 18 to the gallon. And a gallon's pretty much, what's that at? £6.5. £6.5, and that's 2 gallons to cover what I can do on an e-bike, or 30 pence to charge my e-bike overnight. The consequent failure of the previous government and the government now in situ to not deal with this throttle issue. I thought we left the EU, but we're still following EU patterns for the e-bike laws. It's virtually the same. And when you see people getting their bikes confiscated because even the police don't know what the law is, like I said, you catch a copper on a bad day and he's going to confiscate your bike because he doesn't know the rules, he doesn't know the laws, and he don't really care. All he sees is an e-bike, and when he sees an e-bike, he sees one of these. And we get mistaken for that. We're not e-motos, we're e-bike riders. And because of the small portion of young kids that are going around ruining it for everybody else, and then you've got the street robbers in London, it's not good. And it doesn't look good either. I think once the government's virtually got to the point where they're going to look at this, they're going to leave it as is. They're going to consult with the House of Lords, and the House of Lords, bunch of old farts that are going, they're going a bit quick now. And it's just like, it's really annoying. And we're stuck not just between a rock and a hard place, but we're stuck between idiots. And it's idiots all the way along the line. And it's self-serving idiots. It don't matter who's in power. The future of e-bike law in this country is in the hands of the Labour government at the moment. And I genuinely don't think anything's going to change. I really don't. But like I said, one of the big things that sticks in my craw is the fact that you can rent illegal scooters with a throttle on that goes up to 12.5 miles an hour. Why can't we have 12.5 miles an hour? That'll do. You can't have set rules because your friends are paying you money to have licenses to make money. You can't. That's not really fair, is it? That's not in the spirit of governing. And it's very unlikely anybody's going to see this that's got any power to do anything about it. But you do. You all do. And what I advise is we all start emailing our local MPs. All of us. And spread the word. Just email your MP. Next week, I will set out a pre-form letter and I'll post it on here. You can copy and paste it in the description section. Just sign it and send it to online, sign it and send it to your MP. I've tried time and time again to get people to log in to change.org and click in there. And I think in about the space of about 18 months, I think we're not even at 50 signatures. And I've gone on and on and on and on about it. And I realise people just can't be bothered to click a button. But if you want things to change, you've got to help yourself. You've got to help yourself to help us to help you. Otherwise, nothing gets done. All that gets done is people moaning. And all these people that are moaning about, oh, we haven't got a throttle, like me. Well, I'm trying to do something about it. What are you doing? I'd love to see the throttle all changed. I'm not bothered about the speed. If you want the speed changing up to 20 mile an hour, have a word. Have a word with your local MP. Let's flood these MPs with letters saying, like, this needs doing, this needs talking about. Because as it stands at the moment, they're going to be stagnant with it. They're not going to do a thing. Absolutely nothing. It won't be this year, it won't be next year. And I'm pretty much sure that by 2026, they're going to be too busy trying to work out how they're going to get elected again. And that's it until the Conservatives. And you're getting into this rolling ball of nothing happening because nobody wants to carry this ball. And it's an important ball to be carrying. Anyway, that's it for now. That's my update. Like I said, nothing, not a word. All I see when I do searches for it is new licensing for e-bike hire, new licensing for scooter hire in certain places, and they're going studies with that. I mean, the poor scooter riders are still waiting for their consultation, and that's been longer than ours. It's amazing that you can hire something that you're not allowed to ride in public yourself. Weird. Really weird. And as much as there's an argument about, well, some of these are 6,000 watt motors and blah, 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 the normal person on the street don't want that. They want something that does 15.5 mile an hour, 12.5 mile an hour, just to get from A to B. You can buy these. You can buy these Pure Do one. And it's quite a cracking little scooter. I've had a go with my friends, and it's a cracking little thing. It's not something you go around in unlocking either. I know the bikes are different. Annoying. So, like I said, the link to the video is here for my recent review of a bike that's fully legal in the UK and in the EU, and it's pretty cool. I liked it. Like I said, it's got a few monsters with it, but I'm willing to overlook those. It was such a good bike. Well, it still is, because I'm going to put another 400 plus miles on it, do a long-term review of it. And that's it for now. Have a nice day.